Alright guys, you may notice that we're not in the classroom right now. We're actually inside the soccer goal because I miss playing soccer with you guys a lot. That was one of my very favorite things to do every single day. So I thought, you know, if I can't play soccer with you guys, then I will sit inside the soccer goal and read to you instead. So we are here for James and the Giant Peach. You probably know the chapter. It's chapter number 28 today, and we learned about the Cloud Men, and wondering what James and his buddies are going to, what kind of trouble they're going to get into today. Are you guys comfortable? Are you calm? Guess what? You can sit however you want now. You don't have to sit like I would sit. That's one of the advantages about being in your house and watching this on video is I can't see the way you're sitting, so you get to, you know, do what you want. But I hope that you're focused. So, chapter 28. One by one, the travelers came out again onto the top of the peach and gazed carefully around. The moon was still shining as brightly as ever, and there were still plenty of huge, shimmering cloud mountains on all sides, but there were no cloud men in sight now. "The peach is leaking," shouted the old green grasshopper, peering over the side. "It's full of holes, and the juice is dripping out everywhere." "That does it," cried the earthworm. "If the peach is leaking, then we shall surely sink." "Don't be silly," said the centipede. "We're not in the water now." "Oh, look," shouted the ladybug. "Look, look, 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 look over there." Everybody swung around to look. In the distance and directly ahead of them, they now saw a most extraordinary sight. It was a kind of ark, a colossal, that's a good word. Colossal is another word for massive, which we heard yesterday, which means huge. You probably knew that, though. A colossal curvy-shaped thing that reached high up into the sky and came down again at both ends. The ends were resting upon a flat cloud that was as big as a desert. "Now, what in the world is that?" asked James. "It's a bridge. It's an enormous hoop cut in half. It's a giant horseshoe standing upside down." "Stop me if I'm wrong," murmured the centipede, going white in the face. "But might those not be cloud men climbing all over it?" He doesn't like those guys, does he? There was a dreadful silence. The peach floated closer and closer. "They are cloud men. There are hundreds of them, thousands, millions." "I don't want to hear about it," shrieked the poor blind earthworm. "I'd rather be at the end of a fish hook and used as bait than come up against those terrible creatures again. I'd rather be fried alive and eaten," wailed the old green grasshopper. "Please keep quiet," whispered James. "It's our only hope." They crouched very still on top of the peach, staring at the cloud men. The whole surface of the cloud was literally swarming with them, and there were hundreds more up above, climbing about on that monstrous, crazy ark. Monstrous, there's another word. We have a bunch of synonyms here. We have monstrous, colossal, massive. Who's this guy? Roald Dahl likes adjectives. It makes him a good writer. Okay, so they're saying that this ark is big, but what is that thing? Whispered the ladybug, and what are they doing to it? "I don't care what they're doing to it," the centipede said, scuttling over to the tunnel entrance. "I'm not staying up here. Goodbye." But the rest of them were too frightened or too hypnotized by the whole affair to even move. "Do you know what?" James whispered. "What?" they said. "What?" "The enormous ark, they seem to be painting it. They've got lots of paints and big brushes. You look." So I want to pause and I want you to make a prediction. What is this big ark that they're painting? If you have somebody around you, you should yell out what you think it is. Did you do it? All right, let's see if your predictions are right. And he was quite right. The travelers were close enough now to see that this was exactly what the Cloudmen were doing. They all had huge brushes in their hands, and they were splashing the paint onto the great curvy arc in a frenzy of speed. So fast, in fact, that in a few minutes the whole arc became covered in the most glorious colors: reds, blues, greens, yellows, and purple. I hope you said rainbow. It's a rainbow, everyone said at once. They are making a rainbow. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Just look at those colors. Centipede, they shouted. You must come up here and see this. They were so enthralled by the beauty and brilliance of the rainbow that they forgot to keep their voices low any longer. The centipede poked his head cautiously out of the tunnel entrance. Well, 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 he said. I've always wondered how those things were made. But why all the ropes? What are they doing with the ropes? Good heavens, they are pushing it off the cloud, cried James. There it goes! They are lowering it down to earth with ropes. And I'll tell you something else, the centipede said sharply. If I'm not greatly mistaken, we ourselves are going to bump right into it. Bless my soul, he's right, the old green grasshopper exclaimed. The rainbow was now dangling in the air below the cloud. The peach was also just below the level of the cloud, and it was heading directly toward the rainbow, traveling rather fast. Do you hear that sound? That sound is them working on the sheep pen because they're building them this whole thing. So hopefully it's not too loud and we can keep doing this. We are lost, Miss Spider cried, wiggling her feet again. The end has come. I can't stand it, wailed the earthworm. Tell me what's happening. We're going to miss this, shouted the ladybug. No, we're not. Yes, we are. Yes, yes, no. Oh, my heavens. Hold on, everybody, James called out, and suddenly there was a tremendous thud as the peach went crashing into the top part of the rainbow. This was followed by an awful splintering noise as the enormous rainbow snapped right across the middle and became two separate pieces. The next thing that happened was extremely unfortunate. The ropes that the Cloudmen had been using for lowering the rainbow got tangled up with the silk string that went down to the peach and the seagulls. The peach was trapped. Panic and pandemonium broke out among the travelers, and James Henry Trotter, glancing up quickly, saw the faces of 1,000 furious Cloudmen peering down at him over the edge of the cloud. The faces had almost no shape, and all because the long white hairs that covered them. There were no noses, no mouths, no ears, no chins. Only the eyes were visible in each face, too. Small black eyes glinting through the hairs. Then came the most frightening thing of all. One Cloudman, a huge, hairy creature who must have been 14 feet tall. Okay, let's think about this. If you have to stay 6 feet away from people, which you probably know, you have to do double that. That's 12 feet. Plus how many more? 12 plus 2 more is 14. So it's super far, right? And then you turn it up, and that's how tall the Cloudman is. That's really tall. That's super tall. That's taller than the basketball thing that's right here. All right, let me find my spot. He's 14 feet tall. I lost my place. I really lost my place. Ah, here we go. Suddenly, he stood up and made a tremendous leap off the side of the cloud, trying to get to one of the silk strings above the peach. James and his friend saw him flying through the air above them, his arms outstretched in front of him, reaching for the nearest string, and then they saw him grab it and cling to it with his hands and his legs, and then, very slowly, hand over hand, he began to come down the string. Mercy, save us, help, cried the ladybug. He's coming down to eat us, wailed the old green grasshopper. Jump overboard. Then eat the earthworm first, shouted the centipede. He's not very nice. It's no good eating me. I'm full of bones. "Centipede," yelled James, "quickly, bite through that string, the one he's coming down." The centipede rushed over to the stem of the peach and took the silk string in his teeth, and he bit through it with one snap of his jaws. Immediately, far above them, a single seagull was seen to come away from the rest of the flock and go flying off with a long string trailing from his neck. And clinging desperately to the end of the string, shouting and cursing with fury, was the huge, hairy Cloud Man. Up and up he went, swinging across the moonlight sky, and James Henry Trotter, watching him in delight, said, "My goodness, he must weigh almost nothing at all for one seagull to be able to pull him up like that. He must be all hair and air." The rest of the Cloudmen were so flabbergasted. That's a great word. Flabbergasted is like being speechless, or in England they say gobsmacked, like you just can't even believe it. Flabbergasted. Can you say flabbergasted? I'm going to try to use that word today. Oh, man. Flabbergasted at seeing one of their company carried away in this manner, that they let go of all the ropes they were holding, and then, of course, down went the rainbow, both halves of it together, tumbling towards the earth below. This freed the peach, which at once began sailing away from the terrible cloud. But the travelers were not in the clear yet. The infuriated Cloudmen jumped up and ran after them along the cloud, pelting is like throwing, them mercilessly with all sorts of hard and horrible objects. Empty paint buckets, paintbrushes, stepladders, stools, saucepans, frying pans, rotten eggs, dead rats, bottles of hair oil, anything that those guys could lay their hands on came raining down on the peach. One Cloudman, taking very careful aim, tipped a gallon of thick purple paint over the edge of the cloud right onto the centipede himself. That's worth showing you the picture right now. Imagine it to be purple. Oh, the centipede screamed with anger. "My legs," he cried. "They're all sticking together. I can't walk and my eyelids won't open." He's like this. "I can't see, and my boots are ruined." But for the moment, everyone was far too busy dodging the things that the Cloudmen were throwing to pay attention to the centipede. "The paint is drying," he moaned. "It's going hard. I can't move my legs. I can't move anything." "You can still move your mouth," said the earthworm, "and that is a great pity." "James, James," bawled the centipede, "please help me. Wash off this paint. Scrape it off. Anything." And that is the end of that chapter. All right. If you have done the picture of the Cloudmen from the last day and written about it, and you want to write for today's, I would like you to draw a awesome purple centipede, and I would like you to do some research and figure out how to spell centipede and tell me one sentence about that character. Describe the centipede. Is he kind? Is he smart? Is he grumpy? How many legs does he have? You could even tell me, do you think he's like the centipedes in Hawaii? What I'm asking for is a picture of the purple centipede and a description of his character, okay? Maybe some outward things, like what he looks like or can do, and some inward things of the type of person he is. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Make sure that you are being kind to your brothers and sisters and parents, and patient, and have a nice day. Adios.